Hello, welcome to what is the third of Catholic Concern for Animals vlogs on YouTube. And today I'm flying solo without Chris, and delighted to introduce Clara Mancini, who is the chair of Catholic Concern for Animals, to talk about the charity and the way the charity is going and the kind of things that that CCA gets up to. So, Clara, welcome.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you very much.
it's my pleasure. And let's kick off by talking about Catholic Concern for Animals. And you have been chair for 2-3 years now, is that right?
Yes, that's
So,
correct.
so how did you get into both Catholic Concern for Animals and become chair? I mean, how did that all shape up?
Happen. I came across by chance. I came across CCA, Catholic Concern for Animals, by chance in 2009. I was at a Christian festival and I was desperate to find some connections with my worldview, my way of seeing the world. I was very concerned with animals creation, the animal creation, including humans, but also including all other species. And I was at the time struggling to find like-minded people. I came across CCA, and for me, it felt like a door was opening. The possibility of connecting with other people of faith, um, who felt like me about other animals. So I got in touch with the charity, and then I became involved with them. I was invited to come along to one of the trustee board meetings, and I was then accepted, co-opted as a temporary sort of, as a observer and as a temporary sort of member. Of course, I
Mhm.
signed up, I became a member, and then I was invited to become. I was voted in as a trustee, and I was a trustee for a good number of years before I finally was asked whether I would be willing to become a deputy chair, and then within a year I was asked to step in and to become a chair.
Yeah, it's always the way, isn't it? When you join organisations, people kind of give you responsibilities, and
Yes.
but uh,
Yes.
over that period of time, Catholic Concern for Animals (CCA) has been going through quite a bit of change. Um,
Indeed.
how is that kind of like affecting the way the charity works and what the charity does?
Well, it's a hard question to answer because the change has been so significant that
Yeah.
it has changed. What has happened has transformed the organization and the way in which it works. Um, we had, I think, about 6 years ago, we hired, so to speak, we got Chris on board, our chief executive, and he brought a lot of new things. He's very active, he's very energetic, and it's been a blessing for the organization. And so we have become gradually more involved in in the international sort of world, uh,
Hmm.
with other like-minded organizations. And with thanks to Chris's background in politics, we have been able to also make contact with the political world in the UK, and particularly in the UK, but also in Europe. So this, for us, the past few years, the past six, I would say 6 years or so, have been really transformative. We have also our current ARC editor came on board, shortly after Creasy, and it was again, it refreshed the whole our magazine, the
Yes. Yeah.
arc,
Yeah.
and that was also it was also a very positive change for the organization. It's and I believe through the arc we are reaching now more people than we ever did. So all of the changes that have taken place have meant that we have multiplied our connections. We have become known across the world, and the effectiveness with which we can work has greatly increased. I am particularly proud of some recent achievements, and one, we became members of the Eurogroup for Animals,
Mhm.
and we this year we became recognized by the United Nations, both by the United Nations Environmental Programme and by the United Nations Environmental Assembly as an observer, non-governmental organization, NGO. And this is amazing to be reckoned. Not many charities are, of our kind, have this position in the United Nations. And for a faith-based organization to have that position is particularly significant. This means that, for example, we will be able to take part in the climate change conference, COP26, which is due to take place in Glasgow in the coming months. So, this is just one example of how the changes that have happened have enabled us to become much more effective. We will be able to influence, policy at the highest possible level. We also became members of Asia for Animals, so we are reaching out also beyond Europe and across the world. We have increased our connections with Africa, and we're working with the Catholic Church in Africa to try and promote CCA's message, which is Pope Francis's message that we are all part of God's creation. We humans are not above it. We're part of it, and we all other creatures love and care that He has for them. So it is very exciting that the changes that have happened are enabling us to do these more effectively. Another thing that is coming for us as a result of our connections with the Eurogroup is that we are going to hold a conference on fish welfare, and we are hoping to have a keynote speaker from the Vatican, but we also have a lineup of eminent experts and speakers for our conference. So these kind of things have become possible thanks to the changes that have happened throughout, over these past years.
Yeah, I think actually for me you brought together two elements quite nicely there, because I think you're right in terms of the greater impact CCA are having, and the way in which CCA are being recognised by, for example, the UN, by Eurogroup and others, and the global influence that is giving CCA, which is quite remarkable for what is at the moment not a very large charity. And that's, I think, part of that is because of its faith nature, and because Catholic communities are global. So you've got that link into the Catholic community worldwide. At the same time as CCA are providing what is a rather fresh and different look at these issues. So I think that those kind of things really go together in all of this. And another element, which I think also worth mentioning, is this: the fact that CCA is becoming increasingly digital.
Absolutely.
The magazines become digitalized, and
Yeah.
we're doing YouTubes and podcasts and social media and so on, which I think has the potential to raise the profile of CCA enormously. Do you think that I mean, how do you see that developing, all that change? Because it's been quite a lot of change in not
Yes.
a very long period of time.
Yeah.
How do you see that all developing in the future?
Well, I hope that we will continue with our digital offering, and we will increase it even further. As you were saying, the fact that, for example, the Arc, our flagship magazine, has gone digital, it means that it
Mm.
can reach. We are no longer limiting to where we can post the magazine, for example, when it was being printed. It means that at very little cost to the organization, we can send the magazine to anywhere in the world. And this is important because we need to make the best possible use of the funds that our donors and supporters are giving to the organization. And it means that, so anyone could 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 have could benefit from what we offer through the Arc, through our fortnightly newsletter, which is free, um, and through the other channels like
Mm.
YouTube, Instagram, etc., Facebook. So the one thing that I hope will happen, of course, we are a faith-based organization, we are a Catholic organization, and so our, if you like, primary um, interlocutor is Catholics throughout the world. But I am very keen that personally that we're not just speaking to Catholics, that we are speaking to everyone who cares for other animals, or anyone who cares for sustainable living, because the two things go together.
Yeah.
Um, we have seen with the fires, the terrible fires in Australia, back in the autumn, in this part of the world, the autumn. And with COVID-19, what happens when we don't care for other animals? When we don't care, when we are reckless, when we abuse animals to the extreme, the result is that pandemics develop. The result is that the environmental disasters happen.
Yes.
So I think this is a problem that all humanity share, and all humanity should care about these issues. So we're not just talking to Catholics, but anyone really cares for the planet, or even cares just for the ability of humans to continue to exist on this planet. Um, so with the way, for example, in which we actually are now offering the Arc is free to members, but can be purchased by anyone, and in two forms. One can subscribe to the Arc with an annual subscription, or one can purchase individual issues from the website. And both of these offerings are intended to attract anyone who doesn't perhaps feel that they can commit to the to the faith Catholic message of CCA, or to the faith message, more generally to a faith view of the world,
Yeah.
but who still cares about these issues. And we very much want to attract those people as well. And so we're trying to offer, for example, the Arc as without necessarily having to become a member of a Catholic organization. So through through digital channels, including as I said, the newsletter, the YouTube, and all the other things that we're doing, I hope that we will reach basically anyone who might have an interest in these issues. So I see the way I see these new forms of engagement, developing in future is in, being addressed
Hmm.
to everyone, at the same time trying to encourage within the Catholic Church and within the Catholic population a growing love and care for the animal creation.
I must admit, are you talking about the Ark? We recently launched the first digital version of the Ark, and the Ark is now available in a digital form, which can be emailed any way you want. So if you're out there and you want to subscribe to the Ark, then please go along to our website and do so. But I thought Barbara, the editor, did a magnificent job in creating a document which was so enriched with links and the
Yes,
ability
absolutely.
to find other things, and that I think was really kind of a clear view of the way in which CCA could be going forward.
Yes, absolutely. So we may have lost the ability to hold a paper copy in our hands, but we have gained so much more because now the Ark is much more connected to all kinds of sources of information that wouldn't possibly have fitted into the printed format.
Absolutely.
And I think it makes it easier to peruse as well, because you don't have, for example, to go from one point of interest to another. You may just do that by clicking on a link without having to scroll down to find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You can get to external sources of information, which otherwise you would have had to go and find for yourself. You can enlarge the text on your screen so you can read it more easily,
Mhm.
which you can't do with the printed version. So there are many advantages to having the Ark in a digital form. Another so this goes along, I think, with other things that we're trying to do, like podcasts based on the newsletters. And these are measures to try and increase the accessibility of our materials.
Mhm.
So for people who perhaps cannot, have difficulty reading, but we want to offer a way still for them to stay connected and to stay engaged by listening, to our newsletters. So obviously it wouldn't, the magazine, the Ark is a very substantial document, so it would be really difficult to read out all of that. But the newsletter is, encapsulates the latest news from CCA, the latest issues of interest with regards to animal welfare, animal rights, and what we are trying to get involved in. And so it's getting a readout of the newsletter is still a way of remaining abreast of all that is happening with CCA.
One of the things which I think has really helped CCA with its message has been the current Pope and his attitude to these issues. Chris, for example, called Laudato Si a game changer. And I think in many ways it has been, because it expresses views on issues which the Catholic Church maybe hasn't been so prominent on in the past, and does it in a way which actually really, I think, provides a fresh view, a different way of looking at things, with its emphasis on creation and the interconnectedness of ecology. How much of a difference do you think that's made in terms of CCA and the way CCA is operating?
Well, it has made an enormous difference because it has basically legitimized CCA's message before the whole Catholic world. So we have been advocating for the things that Pope Francis is saying in the encyclica for a long time. But the fact that Pope Francis has now said those things, it gives us enormous legitimacy. It changes our position entirely. It means that we can be bolder in how we approach certain issues, or how we approach certain bodies within the church or outside the church, within the faith world. And it cannot, we can, you know, we cannot possibly overestimate the difference that these that Laudato Si has made.
Mhm.
The interesting thing is also that the message that Pope Francis puts in Laudato Si is not just a faith message. It's very consistent with what biologists and environmental scientists have been saying for a long time, that all life on Earth is connected, that, for example, biodiversity is fundamental to the well-being of humans, as it is to the well-being of other animals, that, you know, that we destroy and, you know, our environment at our own peril. And so, you know, the Laudato Si is in between these, the world of faith and the world, if you like, that not necessarily views you know, views things through
Yes.
faith,
Mhm.
and it's a perfect bridge between these two, you know, these two worldviews, and offers CCA also a bridge to, you know, to the world that is not necessarily informed by faith. So that's, for us, this is a very important, this was a very important document. And it just means, it doesn't necessarily mean that we will do things that are qualitatively different from what we would have, you know, wanted to do, but it allows us to do more of that, to be more effective, and to do and to you know, to engage with many more realities that otherwise we would have been able to do.
Mm. I think, you know, for me, one of the things here as well is that the remit of CCA is, of course, education and information,
Yes.
trying to make people aware of the situation. And Laudato Si in particular, but also other pronouncements of Pope Francis, have meant that we all of a sudden now we're pushing against an open door rather than one that was
Yeah.
somewhat heavier to push against maybe in the past,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I think has made a real difference.
Yes, absolutely.
You mentioned COVID earlier, and
Yeah.
of course, over the past year, COVID has vastly impacted on everyone's lives, and not least the operation of CCA, and maybe accelerated some of the digitalisation that that was in train anyway. Has COVID been an obstacle for CCA, or actually kind of push things along a bit more quickly than it might have happened otherwise?
I think it has. I think because we had to cancel a lot of face-to-face activities, you know, and travel, you know, the activities that would have required traveling to locations. Obviously, that has meant that we couldn't go ahead with those activities, but at the same time, it has freed funds for us to do many other things that didn't require traveling. And one was the newsletter, for example, and all the new digital offering that we, you know, we now are able to make available to people. So in that sense, it has accelerated a change that was going to come at some point
Mhm.
anyway, but it has given us the space to really work on it, and in a, you know, in a shorter period of time, and to make it all happen. CCA has remained extremely active throughout this period. I have to say, because we are an educational institution, the impact on us, sorry, an educational organization, the impact on us has been less than it was, for example, for animal charities who cared for the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And have to do physical work and have to, look after living beings. So we have been agile in that sense, and we have been able to convert our sort of plans and activities much more easily, because we can do, our educational activities through digital media. So in that sense, the impact on CCA has been significant in the sense that it has pushed ahead a transformation, but at the same time, it hasn't been severe, because we were able to divert our activities. Whereas, had we not been an educational organization, we might not have been able to do that.
One of the things which is true of CCA, as it is of almost every charity, is that it has an uncertain funding base. Funding is dependent. I mean, we have membership, we have subscriptions to the ARC, which are a fairly stable source of income, but we're also crucially dependent on donations, and especially legacies, which people generously provide. But that means that from one year to the next, we don't know how much money we've got coming in. Is that a big restriction on the CCA going forward in terms of this involvement in a much bigger environmental world than CCA has maybe been inhabiting before?
It is a major uncertainty, of course. So we are extremely grateful whenever we receive a legacy. People felt, people have had the generosity and the openness of spirit and mind to want to help other animals through education and through faith-based education. But it is true that we have to be always very careful how we plan, and we have to always make sure that what we do can be done even in the case, even if we weren't to receive more legacies. We have, like all charities, we have a small reserve that allows us to continue working for a while in the case that we don't receive new legacies. But it is absolutely true that if we were to stop receiving legacies altogether, we would only have a couple of years in which we would be able to continue our activities before, say, hibernating, so to speak, in the hope that things might wake up again later on. We are working very hard to increase our membership base, because that would provide us with more stable income. But our membership fees are quite modest, because we want to be as inclusive as possible. And that, of course, then there is a trade-off there, that in order to increase your membership base, you need to keep your membership affordable. At the same time, that means that every new member that brings a relatively small contribution, but we prefer to have more members to influence more people than to have more, to receive more funds. The way we handle these limitations is that we try to be very, parsimonious and very careful in how we put the money that people generously give us to use. We always try to make the absolute most of it.
Yes.
So this is how we are handling things.
Yeah, I think that making the most of all the money that comes in is certainly something which is a feature of working within CCA. And I think, as you rightly said, I mean, we are very grateful for the generosity and the support of members and donors and those who leave us legacies, which enable us to keep going. And next year, of course, hopefully, it certainly looks like we will be getting vaccinated and able to go back to something closer to what was normal before, although I wouldn't want necessarily to go back all the way to that. But what opportunities do you see for CCA in the future in terms of next year and beyond? Where is CCA going?
Where is CCA going? I hope it will get to every corner of the globe and to engage with every, that would be a dream, to engage with every human being.
Yes.
But realistically, before we get there, so I think what the being able to do, to travel again and to do things, in the physical world again, will enable us to resume some of the activities that we had to pause due to the pandemic. For example, we had plans to physically go to Africa, to return to Africa and do more work there with the Catholic Church in different African countries, and same things in Asia. So hopefully we'll be able to resume those activities there. We, for example, were expected to attend the Eurogroup for Animals conference. It was shortly after the pandemic, it exploded, and so we couldn't do that. But we are hoping to do, we're hoping to attend. We're hoping that will be a physical conference this coming year, and at the same time, we hope that we were organizing this fish welfare conference, which was supposed to be taking place physically in September at the University of Roehampton, and of course we had to cancel it. So it's now taking place, virtually in January, and so, but in future, we hope to hold other conferences, and we will hope to hold them physically. Last year, in November, we had our first award ceremony. We have 2 awards that CCA is giving to provide shining examples of how we can try and make the world a better place for animals. One award is our Saint Francis Award, and it recognizes people who have dedicated their life to the betterment of the world, to try and for animals. And we last year the award went to Krista Blanche, who was the founder of an organization that follows animals who are being transported to slaughter. And I always wonder how the courage these people must have to follow such excruciating journeys that animals are subjected to. But they pray for them, they try to give them water, they try to stay with them. And this is absolutely an amazing organization, and we wanted to recognize Krista for her work over many years, and also the whole organization. So we offered the St. Francis Award as also not just for them, but for everybody else to see, to see what can be done, what could be done or should be done for animals. The other award is the St. Hubert Award, and we offer it to people who have given up activities that they maybe were doing for a living that were hurting animals, but they have they change their lifestyle because they recognize that there's a better way, there's a more compassionate way. And that's that's also very important for us, because it signals that anybody can change, anybody can, it's never too late to make a change and to to try and embrace a cruelty-free lifestyle. And so the award went to a lovely couple who were farmers and dairy farmers, and they realized what that was doing to their animals, and so they stopped farming animals and instead started a vegan farm, a vegetable farm. So we wanted to, we wanted to recognize these amazing, exceptional people, and we had this really, we had this ceremony in London, where we invited various people from the charitable world, and but this was open to the public, and it was a very special moment for us, because it was the first sort of big public event that the CCA was holding. Unfortunately, we're not able to hold it this year. It's because of the pandemic, but we very much hope that we will be able to hold it again the coming year. So these are some of the things that we are hoping to go back to once we are free to do so. If this if this situation gets resolved.
To wind up with the last question, in your period of involvement with CCA, in a particular period of chair, is there one aspect, one achievement, one thing that CCA has done which you would say you were particularly proud of?
Well, for me, there's lots of things, so it's difficult to pick one. But for me personally, I think being recognized by the United Nations, and achieving that status is the moment of greatest pride. And because to me, it is a signal that CCA has got to the very top. I mean, we couldn't get a higher recognition. So it means a lot of things. It means CCA is, is global. It's a global organization. It has visibility, across the world now. It has a chance to get involved with, in activities such as the climate change conference. It just is just I think it is another game changer for CCA, just like Laudato Si was a game changer when it came out. So I think for me that would be the thing that I feel most proud of.
That's terrific. Thank you very much for talking to me, Clara. It's
You're
been
very welcome.
Pleasure as always.
Thank you.
I hope that we will have you back to talk to you again about wider matters. So thank you for that. And if you want any further details about Catholic Concern for Animals, then please visit our website. Thank you.
Thank you.